Hello, I'm David Ware, one of the clergy team here at the Church of the Redeemer in Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm so glad that you joined us in this collection of Christmas hymns. I don't know about you, but our family seems to have an endless capacity for these old chestnuts. We sing them while we put up the tree, we sing them while we're making cookies or uh, making dinner or gathering for a quiet evening. We love these hymns beyond gathering together to worship. They just are part of how we understand and experience the miracle that this season brings to us. So I'm excited that you are with us to sing them. Please sing along. And also, you'll be interested in the introduction to each hymn, which provides some historical context for how they were written and how they've come to be part of the canon of music. Um, please enjoy. Hymn 100, Joy to the World, the Lord is come. This hymn has become so inextricably tied to Christmas that we don't realize that it is Isaac Watts' paraphrase of Psalm 98. Watts Christianized the Psalms by using the word Lord to mean the Messiah, Jesus. He divided his paraphrase into two parts. Joy to the World is the second part and is designated the Messiah's coming kingdom. In the early 19th century, it was common for hymnal editors to include tunes taken from the extended works of great composers such as Haydn, Beethoven, and Handel. Lowell Mason, noted American composer, educator, and hymnal editor, based this tune, Antioch, on a chorus from Handel's Messiah. This tune has maintained a high level of affection in the hearts of people around the world.
Hymn 92, On This Day Earth Shall Ring, tune, Personent Hodie. This text and tune have been associated since the 16th century. Both, however, seem to be parodies of a much older Latin song, Intonent Hodie Voces Ecclesiae, which can be dated back to at least 1360. The English translation was made by Gustav Holst's pupil Jane, Mary, and Joseph, and was first published with the Holst arrangement of the tune in 1924. The older text and tune both appeared in a Moosburg manuscript gradual in 1360. This text in Latin and tune were included in Pie Cantiones of 1582. It was discovered by John Mason Neale in the mid-19th century and entered English hymnody through him. He originally wrote an Easter text to go with the tune. Gustav Holst made this arrangement of the tune in 1916 or 1917.
On this day I shall ring with a song to sing to the Lord Christ our King, born on earth to save us, Him the Father gave us.
Hymn 81, Lo, how a rose ere blooming, to the tune Es ist ein Ros. This German carol is based on Luke chapters 1 and 2 and Isaiah chapter 11 verses 1 to 10, and is believed to date from the 15th century. The earliest source is a manuscript from Trier. The text originally consisted of 23 stanzas. The tune Es ist ein Ros is an old Rhineland carol tune and is believed to have originated in the 14th century. The harmonization, which is the most widely used one, is by Michael Pretorius from his Musée Sionnier, published in 1609.
With very
Hymn 96, Angels We Have Heard on High, tune Gloria. This popular French carol first appeared in the hymnal 1940. This text has been historically associated with the tune Gloria, which is itself one of the best-known French carol tunes. The text, like its tune, is assumed to be of 18th century origin. This is what is known as the Macaronic Carol, that is, one in which both Latin and the vernacular are used. There is evidence of the tune Gloria being used in the French provinces of Lorraine and Languedoc and in French-speaking Quebec. It was first published in 1855 and appeared with an English translation in Henri Frederick Hamy's Crown of Jesus music, published in London in 1862, where the tune was referred to as an English air.
Hymn 101, Away in a Manger, No Crib for His Bed. Tune, Cradle Song. For years, this popular carol was ascribed to Martin Luther, even to the point of being called Luther's Cradle Song. However, its origins are obscure. The first two stanzas appeared anonymously in the Little Children's Book for Schools and Families, published in Philadelphia in 1885. The third stanza was in Charles H. Gabriel's Vineyard Songs, published in Louisville in 1892, again printed anonymously. Noted hymnologist Eric Routley pointed out that Away in a Manger is one of the two irreplaceable pieces from America that have, quote, enriched the popular carol repertory, unquote, in England and elsewhere. The other is John Henry Hopkins Jr.'s We Three Kings of Orient Are. This text has been associated with several tunes. This one, Cradle Song, was first published in 1895, written by William Kirkpatrick. In this collection, Kirkpatrick's tune represented the German fatherland. This setting, by Ralph Vaughan Williams, provides just enough accompaniment to reflect the simplicity of the words and tune. Hymn 107, Good Christian Friends Rejoice. Tune, In Dulci Jubilo. This is a very old, well-known, and much-loved carol, which entered the Episcopal lexicon in the hymnal 1916. This Macaronic Carol was originally written in Latin and West Middle German, using the Rhine-Frankish dialect as it was spoken in the district between Mainz and Worms. In Dulci Jubilo was widely sung in Germany and reached its best-known 8-line form in the version by Luther. The tune was extremely popular in Northern Europe as a dance carol and has been strongly associated with dancing since the 14th century. In many Lutheran parishes in the late 16th century, it was still customary for the children to dance in front of a crib placed before the altar, while In Dulci Jubilo was sung.
Christ is born today, all that has been
Hymn 79, O Little Town of Bethlehem. The Reverend Phillips Brooks was widely known in his lifetime as an extraordinary preacher. It's his authorship of this hymn, however, which causes his name to be remembered each year at Christmastide. While visiting the Holy Land in 1865, he attended Christmas Eve service at the Church of the Nativity. This experience moved him to begin work on a new hymn, O Little Town of Bethlehem, which he finally completed on December 1st, 1868. It's one of the most beloved of the American Christmas hymns. The tune, St. Louis, was composed in 1868 by Louis H. Redner, the organist at Holy Trinity Church in Philadelphia, where Phillips Brooks was the rector. Brooks had requested a tune for the text sometime before Christmas, but inspiration eluded Redner. Finally, on Christmas Eve, he went to bed and awakened a few hours later with the tune fully formed in his mind. The next morning, he completed the setting by writing out the harmony.
Hymn 115. What child is this who lay to rest? Tune, Greensleeves. The wedding of this text with the classic English folk song, Greensleeves, assured its immediate acceptance when it was included in the hymnal 1940. Written by William Chatterton Dix, the text was inspired by the gospel for the Feast of the Epiphany, Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. It first appeared in the Bramley and Stainer Christmas Carols New and Old, published in London in 1871. This ballad melody is for many the archetypal folk song tune. It was already old when Shakespeare mentioned it twice in his The Merry Wives of Windsor. In September 1580, Richard Jones had licensed to him a new northern ditty of the Lady Greensleeves. It immediately became so popular that within 12 days it is recorded as being turned to religious use as Greensleeves, moralized to the scripture, declaring the manifold benefits and blessings of God bestowed on sinful man.
Hymn 105, God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, to the tune, God Rest You Merry. This traditional carol was collected in many places in England and was circulated as a broadside ballad in the 18th century. It has become one of the most popular of the English carols to enter the musical repertoire of the Episcopal Church. There is often confusion regarding the opening phrase of the hymn. The meaning is, "God keep you merry, gentlemen." The music of this hymn has all the hallmarks of an ancient English folk carol, which it undoubtedly is. Variants of the tune were picked up by a number of collectors in the 19th and early 20th centuries. It entered the hymnal 1940 in a harmonization by Winfred Douglas.
God bless you, merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay. Remember Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day, to save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. From God our Heavenly Father, a blessed angel came, and unto certain shepherds brought tidings of the same. Now that in Bethlehem was born the Son of God by name. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. Fear not, then said the angel, let nothing you affright. This day is born a Savior of a pure Virgin bride, to free all those who trust in Him from Satan's power and might. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. Now to hours and praises on earth witness praise, and with true love and charity each other love and praise. This holy time Christmas our remaining grace. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
Hymn 94, While Shepherds Watch Their Flock by Night. Tune, Winchester Old. This text is a paraphrase of Luke chapter 2, verses 8 through 15, and was printed in a supplement to the New Version of Psalms in London, 1700, by Tate and Brady. This is the most enduringly popular of Tate and Brady's paraphrases. Their skillful enhancement of the pictorial setting of the story, such as all seated on the ground, for abiding in the field, or came down, replacing came upon them, and others, draw the singer into the story. The composer of this tune is unknown. It was first printed in Thomas East's Whole Book of Psalms in London, 1592, with the text of Psalm 84. It is a member of a large family of tunes derived from the older tune, Old 81st. The marriage of this text and tune dates to hymns, ancient and modern.
And
111, Silent Night, Holy Night, to the tune Stille Nacht. Christmas, 1818. The newly established parish of St. Nicholas in Oberndorf was facing the prospect of services without music because the organ had broken down. On December 24th, Joseph Moore, the assistant priest, brought this text to Franz Gruber, the acting organist, to be set for both of them to sing as a duet with guitar accompaniment and a chorus of girls' voices. The composition was sung at the Christmas Eve service that night, with the priest playing the guitar. It was sung to Karl Marscher of Zillerthal when he came to repair the organ shortly afterwards. He spread the song throughout the Tyrol. In 1831, the four Strasser sisters, actually 3 sisters and their brother, sang the song at the Leipzig Fair and elsewhere. There it was copied down, and its journey to become one of the most beloved of Christmas hymns was begun.
Silent night, holy night.
Hymn 87, Hark the Herald Angels Sing. Charles Wesley's Hymn for Christmas Day first appeared in John and Charles Wesley's Hymns and Sacred Poems, published in London in 1739. Over the years, there have been a number of changes to the text, including the opening phrase, which originally was, "Hark how all the welkin rings, glory to the King of Kings." Welkin was the old Saxon word for the vault of heaven. Wesley's original Christ the Lord is born today was changed to Christ is born in Bethlehem. In addition, there have been some reordering of lines, and some of the original stanzas have been excised. Originally, the text was considered the Christmas equivalent of Jesus Christ is risen today, and was sung to the same tune, Easter hymn, with the Alleluias at the end of each line. It's also been associated with a number of other tunes, but achieved its immense popularity once it was wedded with the tune Mendelssohn. This tune is based on the second movement of Felix Mendelssohn's Festgesang, composed in 1840, to celebrate the supposed 400-year anniversary of Gutenberg's invention of movable type. It was combined with this text by William H. Cummings, then organist at Waltham Abbey, in 1855, and has become the established tune for Wesley's text. Thank you again for joining us for this collection of Christmas hymns. Thank you to Bert and all the musicians who worked so hard to create these hymns and the recordings of them. Thank you to the choir members, the engineers, and volunteers who have wrapped up this gift and offered it to you. Please join us throughout the season in worship. We'll be Zooming on Saturday and Sunday. Have a blessed season.